Hi, welcome back. I am Paul Chartier. We have our friends from the Children's Advocacy Center, Andrew Oliver, the Executive Director, and my friend Wynn Stevens. You may recognize the face, but you've taken a move.
I have become the Development Director for the Children's Advocacy Center of the Bluegrass, and very excited to be helping kids and in this new role.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
You bought some prime property up on North Ashland.
We did. We're really proud of that.
Yeah. How recent was that?
We moved in March of 2013, so we've been there just a little over a year now. We were really excited. The property is the former Lexington Hearing and Speech Center, which has been around for 40 plus years, 50 years, and the space was ideally suited for what we do. So our board was excited and we made the move.
Is it a collection of houses or one big one, or how does that work right now?
There are actually two houses that are joined together by a breezeway, and then there's a large kind of addition and annex on the back, and so it gives us all the space we need to do great work with families and kids.
Tell us what great work you do with families and kids.
Sure. So the Children's Advocacy Center has existed for about 20 years now, and the idea is that we offer all the core services a child and family needs when an allegation of child abuse surfaces that's criminal in nature. We see mostly sexual abuse cases, but we provide 4 core services under one roof, from the forensic interview where they talk to a trained specialist about what's happened to them, to the medical exam where they see a pediatrician, to short and long-term therapy and advocacy support for their parents.
This program can uncover and unveil not just that you exist and you have a big event coming up, but for people that are going through issues, how to identify things going on, what outsiders can see. So what do you do to determine, do people come to you? How is that connection made, and how do you address it?
That's a good question. The referrals that we receive come from law enforcement, and so we often get calls from parents or the school system, and there's a concern that something's happened to a child. And what we'll do is we'll direct them to make a report, or we'll help them make a report to law enforcement. When that case is open for criminal investigation, they will call us before talking to the child, and they'll refer, and we'll do all the services on site.
You're an expert. Tell people signs of what could be happening with a child to then say something's going on here.
Well, there's no one universal sign or symptom. We tell people that what seems obvious is that the most kind of essential something that a child would say would be like that someone is sexually abusing me, is that you would think that wouldn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that they should maybe make that report, but we see kids all the time who have told people over and over and over again that something's happened to them. But we tell parents to look for behavioral and emotional and physical changes in their children. They might have trouble sleeping, nightmares, anxiety, bedwetting. They may not want to see somebody that they've previously been very attached to.
Again, no broad brush. Family members, babysitters, teachers, what's the profile, what's the population of people to keep an eye on?
What we know is that 90% of the time sexual abuse is committed by someone the family knows and trusts. So while sexual abuse is sometimes committed by a stranger, it's usually someone that's in the home or is close to the family and that has developed a relationship with this family over time and really kind of groomed them to lower their boundaries so that they're grooming parents in the same way they groom kids, you know, saying they have the best interest of the child at heart and they're looking out for their interests and they want to spend an exorbitant amount of time with them.
Let's put your website and phone number up, and if anybody has any kind of key signs that something is amiss, we want them to call you.
They can call us.
You might get law enforcement involved, but they're not here tonight.
That's fine.
So we'll put your phone number up and they can go to the website and look around and do that kind of stuff.
And we would encourage, Kentucky is one of 20 states that has a mandatory reporting law for child abuse. So any adult that knows or suspects that abuse is happening needs to make a report. They're obligated to do it. Aside from any legal obligation, there's an ethical and moral obligation for them to do that, to step in and protect a child who can't do it themselves.
How can anybody, number one, do that? Number two, suspect it's going on and not do something?
Well, I'm not going to get into the mind of a suspected perpetrator. I don't understand it, but it does happen, and we want to be there and help the kids when it does happen. Unfortunately,
and talk about your role, and you've got this very sensitive thing going on, but in the work that you do, and I've seen you do it, you present the organization so well and positive. How's it going?
It's going great. What I think is really important for folks to understand is that we are a child and family-centered environment. When you come to our office and you go to the forensic interview rooms, they don't look like they do on CIS. They are kid-friendly. They look like a living room or a playroom, and it's a place that makes a child feel comfortable. When they go to our medical clinic, and we give full medical exams, comprehensive medical exams there, it doesn't look like a hospital. It doesn't look like an emergency room. There's a big mural on the wall. Kids get a bear or a stuffed animal. They get a blanket that they get to keep and take with them. So it is the antithesis of sterile, intimidating environment, and I think that's what's so important. We had a child in our we had a child in our office today who was there for some services, and she was a little uncomfortable, as you might suspect, and she came down through our breezeway, and we had this big pinwheel, and she said, "Flowers! I love flowers. This is beautiful." And it was like a total transformation. Suddenly she was in an environment that made her feel comfortable, and we were able to work with her and get the information we needed. So it's been great. You know, one of the things that has drawn me to this organization is that it's comprehensive in nature, right? We're involved in the investigation of child abuse, and we help put people that do this away. But the other thing that we do is we heal children that are hurt. And so no matter what your particular affinity is, we're covering that, right? If it's about the justice thing, we got you. If it's about healing and helping, we do that as well. And it's really been great. The folks that I work with are just amazing. The dedication, the passion they have for children and for children's issues is really fantastic. And you would think, seeing what they do and hearing the things that they hear, that there'd be a huge turnover, but there isn't. This staff has been together for a long time. They are among the best in the business, and they just really care about kids and want to make a difference.
You got a good one here.
We do.
When you sell the Red Cross, you're selling the disaster and that emotion of a tornado. When you go out and talk to people about how to become partners of yours and build that relationship, how do you do that?
Well, a lot of it depends on the interest of the individual. What is their passion? What's their motivation? Again, for some people, it's very much protecting children. We'll talk a little bit about how they can support our forensic interviewing and our medical clinic. For other folks, it's I want to help a kid that has been hurt. And for them, we'll talk about our therapy program and our advocacy program. You know, one of the interesting things that we do, we have a medical clinic and a forensics interview clinic and a therapy clinic, and those you get what those are, right? I mean, and then we have this advocacy support, and this is the folks that do this are just great because we call it wraparound support, and it really is figuratively and literally. They wrap around the family and support them from explaining the process to walking them through each step of what we do. They've even gone so far in the past to take children down to the courthouse if they're going to have to testify, show them where the witness stand is, show them where the judge sits, show them where the jury is, and making them feel comfortable with that process. So I mean, it just covers the whole gamut of services, and that's what I think is so great and so appealing for a lot of folks is that we have so much that we do that is positive and appeals to their interest.
Well, thank you for protecting kids. You've got a big fundraiser coming up. Tell us about that.
We do an evening for art and advocacy. Friday, August 22nd, out at the Fasig-Tipton Pavilion. It's going to be a great night. We're going to have a live art demonstration by a painter named Aaron Kaiser. He's a speed painter. He's been written about in the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. The Metronomes are going to perform. We're going to have food, an auction. It's just going to be a really fun evening for a really great cause. It's a casual affair, and we hope folks will come out and support it. And we are really delighted. Doctors Knight, Wally, and Calathorn, orthodontics practice here in Lexington, are presenting that event, and they've signed on to be our presenting sponsor, and we could not be more delighted to have their support.
That's great. Talk a little bit about your challenges. I mean, what can people that are watching, what can they do to help you help these kids?
I think the important thing is that we have to capture all those kids that need our services. So if someone knows a child that is hurting, they need to make a report to social services. If someone wants to volunteer their time or donate comfort blankets for kids, they want to knit those, we can certainly accept those. If they want to be on site and help comfort families, or they've been through this, or we want to allow volunteers to help in whatever way that they feel comfortable, and certainly giving is one way that they can support us too. So about 50% of our funding comes from our friends and neighbors right here in central Kentucky. We don't receive a ton of government funding, and so we need that support, and we've relied on it for 20 years.
In the development world, to go after the big elephant hunting, the big fish, that's known, that's common. How do you identify who you're going to start building a relationship with?
A lot of times folks kind of self-identify. They hear that somebody's involved with our organization. They have a friend that's a board member, and they say, "Gosh, that sounds really interesting." We have a lot of folks who are philanthropically minded, and they just want to help organizations and help people make a difference in the community, and we all know who some of those are in our community. So it goes a variety of ways. Sometimes it starts with a really small gift. I mean, that's everybody that's in fundraising has the story of they got a gift of $100.
Yeah.
They got to know this donor, and next thing they know, they're getting a $25,000 check.
Yeah.
So it just runs the gamut. I think ultimately the important thing is for people to know about our office and our services. If it touches their heart, and we can help them find a place to make a donation that feels meaningful to them, then we're delighted to do that. If they learn about what we do and think, I might be interested in something else, then that's great too. What I love about Lexington, what I love about the Bluegrass in this region, is that there are so many generous people making this such a great place to live. Great cities don't get that way by themselves. It takes people who are dedicated and committed and making a difference.
People with a big heart. Give your website, Andrew, if you could, and phone number that people can call. And
www.kykids.org, and then it's 859-225-KIDS or 859-514-1566.
And you mentioned volunteers. How many volunteers do you have? Do you need some more?
Sure. Well, our entire board of directors is volunteer-based, so we have 22 board members who are active and involved, just incredible pillars of the community that are helping in whatever way they can. And then we have a really robust volunteer program with individuals through our local colleges and universities. We're training future social workers and psychologists and counselors and physicians and giving them helpful skills as they kind of advance their career, and they're helping us in so many ways. And we love our student interns, but people from the community, they organize, they help us plant and landscape and mow and clean up and sanitize toys. I mean, there's so many different opportunities.
In the last minute, the kaboom moment. How many kids did you help last year?
I think this year we're on pace to see over 620 kids for forensic interviews. Right now we have 45 kids that are in therapy. That's with one therapist on site.
What ages?
We see kids from birth to age 17 or 18. If they're still at home, we'll see them if they're 18. If they're developmentally delayed, we might see 19 and 20-year-olds. But we do generally forensic interviews with those 3 and up. So
it is heartbreaking that this happens.
It is. But one of the things I love about my office, it's right across the hall from the therapy suite. And I see these kids bounding down the hall with energy.
Yeah.
I see siblings arguing over whose turn it is to go talk to the therapist because they enjoy it so much. And I see these kids that have been hurt become whole and become happy and become the kids that they were meant to be. And that's what makes it so great.
Thank God that you exist. Because look at how many kids through your entire history you've affected and made this a better community and made these people better to function as human beings. So thank you very much. Wynn, Andrew, thank you very much. You guys do great work. You guys have hearts of gold.
Thanks
I'm Paul Chartier. Please call the phone number, go to the website, and thanks for tuning in.